Daily Show. Keith Short and Associates back in the studio. How was the holiday season? I haven't talked to you for a little bit, I don't feel like.
It's been a few minutes, yeah.
How's everything been?
Great. Dan's joined the firm.
This is cool.
We're going to talk, I hope, to Dan here in a few minutes. But I think the most important thing that's happened to me in the last couple weeks was I won our pool for the NCAA tournament. And the thing I won when I got in the office, worst part is this was my idea, is we have these firm shirts that have our name on the front. And so I said, the winner has to put on this shirt and everyone else gets to write something about them. Like, you cheated, you're this. And like Tony, one of my paralegals, crossed out Keith Short and put Tony Talley and Associates. Yeah, so I thought, I didn't think I was going to win. So otherwise I would have come up with a different award.
You had Michigan.
I had Michigan the whole way. And it turned out well. I only put in 2 brackets. You could put in 5. And like an idiot, I didn't realize that and only put in 2.
Well, there's a story there. Is that Keith was not going to participate in the pool. But, when your name's on the building, it gets a lot of pressure to put in some brackets. Yeah. So the frustrating part for the rest of us is that he filled out his brackets in about 2 minutes right before it closed. Yeah. So he picked the winner within 2 minutes.
Well, yeah, but the thing is, the only sport I watch, other than the Cardinals, the only sport I watch is college basketball. Okay. Yeah, I'm not a huge football fan or anything like that.
It's like how I golf. I don't take practice swings. I just go up there and hit it.
Yeah, my game reflects that.
Mine too.
Same here.
I realize the more I prepare, the worse it gets.
Yeah. Well, it's like, what's the point? I've been at this for years. I'm not getting any better. So.
Well, you guys have had a really exciting time at the firm. I mean, it seems like there's been number one, morale seems like it's just really good. Everyone's firing. And then bringing Dan in, this is a really exciting time for the firm. Take me through how this all came to be.
Yeah. Well, let me tell you a little bit about Dan, since I've known him more than half my life. We went to law school together.
That's true. It is more than half our lives.
Wow. Dan was near the top of the class, so I got to look up at him. Down well below him in school.
Not many people look up at me. I'm about 5'7".
Yeah, we're the same height, so it works out beautifully. We could share shirts if we had to. But he was Dan and I we've remained friends for years. We had a little gap because we were doing different things in the law. We didn't see each other for a decade or so. And then I kind of wandered into where he works, his area of law. And we actually had a case against one another long time ago. And as my firm grew and I got better, I realized that I had a glaring hole in my practice. And the glaring hole is look, I'm a pretty bright guy, but there are areas where I'm not, and it's not my strength. Dan is incredibly intellectual and a thinker. I'm more emotional and intuitive. Mm-hmm. You put the two of those together and you're going to get incredible results. And I'm going to give you an example. My friend, he's my partner now, but my friend, I called him when I was getting ready to try a case like 2 years ago, and I had some thoughts. And he said, well, send it over to me. I sent a bunch of things over to him, and he says, it kind of gave me to tweak this and change this and tweak this. And then he finally, one day, just wrote, like, this is what you need to write.
Wow.
And the one thing that I've learned in 30 plus years of practice law, when you see something that's better, you don't argue with it. You just take it and you accept it. You put your ego aside. And I took it. And so an incredibly important motion that I had to fight off in Springfield, Illinois, in a case that we ended up winning millions of dollars, I won because I just stepped back and let Dan tell me this is what you need to argue. Yeah. And I would have lost it.
Oh, wow.
I'm convinced I would have taken the wrong path. Mm-hmm. So that was and by the way, he got nothing for that. I tried to give him something, and he was like, well, no, if you're going to give us a cut of the money, you got to give it to the firm. And I'm like, well, they didn't do anything. You did this on weekends with me. He's at a different law firm. Mm. And he just wouldn't take it. You're talking thousands and thousands of dollars. Yeah. He wouldn't take it. He's like, no, that's just not who I am. It belongs to the firm. God bless you. Wow. And then last year I won $2.5 million in federal court. And again, if you're listening carefully, you can hear the echo of Dan throughout that whole thing. So we talked, and we've tried to work this out for the last few years about him coming over here because, and I'm going to step aside here in a second and let him kind of fill in the gaps. We have different skill sets that are incredibly complementary and don't fight each other but actually help each other. I'm despite this moment, good in front of a jury. I'm good with people. I'm good with understanding what average people think. And Dan is good with understanding the technical side of everything. He's the kind of guy that if you want a serious technical analysis of anything done, insurance contract to how an MRI machine works, this is the man. That's not me. So I said to him, going forward, when we do litigation, we'll do it all together. And we'll try the case together. He'll stand up and try a case with me and all that. But I said, think of it as you're an incredibly talented writer and director, and I'm a good actor. And together, we could put on quite a show. So I asked him to join me, and I said, look, if you're going to join me, you're going to join me as a partner, not as an associate. And he came in about 2 weeks ago.
Fantastic. Dan, take me through it from your perspective too. What are your thoughts as you go into this, partnership now, and what are you looking to accomplish? And before we even get to that, any backstory there that you'd like to share of, how you knew this would be a good fit?
Well, I always knew Keith was a stand-up guy. When we were in law school together, we played a lot of ping pong between classes, and we were pretty close on the ping pong table. And then I started trash talking about how great I was at racquetball, and I've never played somebody that I've lost to. And he's like, "Well, we got to play sometime." He didn't trash talk back. He just said, "We got to play sometime." In about 45 to 60 minutes, I can't remember how long on the racquetball court, I may have gotten 2 or 3 points out of the whole thing. So Keith, and I think those might have been charity points even. So Keith just smiled, and he didn't say anything after that. And I thought, well, I've just learned my lesson on why you don't trash talk.
Yeah.
With how good you're going to be or anything of that nature. So anyhow, that goes way back. It kind of describes the character that Keith is. So I married a woman that I met in law school. Mm-hmm. She was in her third year of medical school. So I got out of law school. I couldn't start suing doctors right away because I married one.
Right.
And I'm like, well, I don't want to be the least popular guy at the Christmas party. So I practiced on the defense for many years. I did medical malpractice defense. I worked at a firm, a very good premier defense firm in Madison County. Had really good mentors. When I was wrong, they didn't soft pedal about how wrong I was. They were brutally honest.
Yeah.
And what I learned from that whole process is it's not about a single personality. It's not about the dominant personality. It's about the client. What do you got to do to put the best product on the table? And a good idea can come from the least suspecting person. And if it's a good idea, it's a good idea. Mm-hmm. And I think that's where Keith and I are like, hey, you got a better idea than me? There's no pride here. It's all about the client. And so I think Keith and I have very, very similar outlooks and personalities in that regard. I also learned after being married for 33 years, and I understand you're getting married soon.
Yeah.
And so one of the things that's really important is to recognize that there are different personality types, there's different strengths. And you can't apologize if someone's strong in one area and you're weak in one, or you're strong in another and someone's weak in another, and you can't call them out for being weak.
Yeah.
It's about can people complement each other, and Keith and I have been friends a long time, and I could be very verbose, and Keith has got a really good way of saying, I got to go.
Speaking of that, here's a great example why this is going to work so well with me and Dan. Is I have a case that a lady died on the table when the doctors and the nurses didn't have her hooked to a monitor, yet they were doing an injection that was near the heart that could shut down this nerve that controls the heart. And I have little doubt that we're going to win. But there were some evidentiary issues that I wanted to get to, and so I had filed a motion to get to those evidentiary things. And defense, a really, really good defense firm in St. Louis, filed a response, and I showed Dan both of them, and I said, hey, tell me what you think. Are we going to win this? And he came in and said, and he was kind. But he said, I think you're going to step on a landmine here. And after listening to his explanation, I went, well, that's not good. I'd say another word right now. Yeah. But I said, well, and rather than what I did was I simply withdrew my motion because I realized he was right. And in the end, because both of us, we can talk to each other without our egos getting involved. Both of us understand ultimately we have to do what's best for this client. I immediately withdrew my motion, and I would gladly defer to him on that. The biggest case I have right now, the biggest case in the firm's worth millions. There's already been a multi $8 million, 8-figure offer, which we said no.
Wow.
Yeah, no, it's not enough. And so that the biggest case I'll ever have, as soon as he got here, I said, you're in charge of discovery, which is incredibly important. So imagine the biggest case you're ever going to have in your life, worth $30 or $40 million, saying, here you go, I trust you more than I trust myself on this issue, and I will defer to you. And that's literally the position I've taken. That should tell you something. The second thing is this. About, say, 5 months ago, when my leg went bad, I had this issue one day, and my leg swelled shockingly large.
Whoa.
Frighteningly large. Like, ooh, do I have a blood clot? Am I gonna, whatever. So I was sent to the emergency room right away. I calmly called Dan, and I said, hey, this is what's going on. If anything ever happens to me, Jen is told that you're the only person for her to go to, my wife.
Yeah.
Because I know he would watch out for her like it was his own family, it was his child. He would take that as not just a duty, but a privilege to do that. Mm-hmm. And so when you hire somebody, or you decide, hire's the wrong word, when you ask this person, will you join me, is the better way. Yeah. The thing that you start with is how beneficial is this to my firm, my life, my whole world. I'm bringing this massive, important person into my world. Are they going to make my world better or not? Well, my world has gotten significantly better. And 2 weeks in, I can tell you, best decision I made other than marrying my wife in the last 10 years.
This is just fantastic, and I think it's really important for the audience, wrong button, to know that. Whenever you're talking, and we've talked about, building a case and how important discovery is and having the right team members around you. Mm-hmm. But, when you have, someone that you can trust with your own life joining your firm or you're partnering up, that, I think, is a big tell to the region that, you guys mean business, and this is a good team.
Right. Well, and I trust my family with him.
There's no bigger testament than that.
Right. None at all. And that's not just because he's brilliant. That's because his heart is in the right place at all times. So
really cool. Do you guys get a moment to take a quick break? Let me pay a bill. We'll come back and chat it up with Dan and Keith some more. You guys stay there, and I'll be here, RiverBender.com, and Roku. Get over here, TV.
If you think you might be pregnant, you don't have to face it alone. At Vitality Women's Clinic, you'll find the care you deserve. We offer confidential, no-cost pregnancy testing, ultrasounds, and STI testing. Our team is here to listen, support you, and help you understand your options without pressure or judgment. Walk in or make an appointment today. Call 618-466-1690 or visit vitalitywomensclinic.org. Vitality Women's Clinic, clear answers, real support.
Since 1993, Sparks Junk Removal is always adapting to the needs of our clients. That is why we now offer weekly trash pickup for selected areas. Plus, we offer driveway-safe rubber-tired dumpster rental. Give us a call today at 618-781-1407 or visit us at sparksjunkremoval.net.
At Alton Elite Jiu-Jitsu, we help students of all ages build confidence, discipline, and real-world strength. Join a supportive community that challenges you to grow both on and off the mat. Experience the art of Brazilian Jiu-Jitsu with a 7-day free trial at our new location. Call 618-795-2692 or visit altonelite.com to start your journey today. Train hard, serve others, live elite at Alton Elite Jiu-Jitsu. When you need a project done right, on budget, and on time.
What's up? It's Mike Keith. What's up, bro? Back to spotlight other amazing alumni and how they discovered their path at Lewis and Clark. Let's jump into it. This is Tom Wells,
an assistant chief of the Godfrey Fire District. He has been a firefighter and an EMT for over 20 years. Tom is currently an instructor in the Lewis and Clark Paramedicine program and has 2 degrees from LC, fire science and nursing.
I'm Tom Wills, and I'm a trailblazer.
Do
Do you need to declutter your space? Time to call me, the Queen of Junk. Since 1993, we have grown to be the leader in residential, commercial, and property management junk removal. At Sparks Junk Removal, we are eco-friendly. We recycle, donate, or repurpose items back into our community. Trash is our last resort to the landfill. Plus, with our all-inclusive service, our crews handle everything from labor to lifting and landfill fees. Give us a call or visit our website, sparksjunkremoval.net, to reclaim your space today.
Welcome back, Daily Show. 9:44, a little bit of change back in with Dan and Keith and the whole gang over here. Well, somewhat. We got two of them, of Keith Short and Associates. Yeah. We have the reigning defending champion of March Madness from Keith Short and Associates in the studio. It's been really cool to hear about this this really new era of the firm for you guys, and it just seems like this is really just a 2 + 2 = 4 scenario. And from both of your standpoints, even during the break, we're both ready to work. You guys have been working and ready to succeed too on this, and that's what's really cool about it.
Yeah, Dan just said something before we came back about, people have asked about when you're going to retire, because we're both 60, well, 75 maybe, because at this point it's actually enjoyable to do this job.
Yeah.
You have a friend down the hall, you have, I have less stress. For me, I have to go, I'm going out of country in a month or so. And with Dan and Holly and Andrew and Erica and all the staff, I have a group that I could just leave and I don't really have to worry about anything. It's so, yeah, you can enjoy life. Do the job, make some money, help people, enjoy life. It's pretty good.
It really is. And Dan, take me through the first couple of weeks, the first couple of days in the firm, officially as partner. What have you kind of noticed just from, the day-to-day interactions? Has it been, everything you thought it would be?
Absolutely, and even more so. So Keith has built a great team around him.
For sure.
And things that we've got some very young people there, and a lot of us older folks think that the younger generation is maybe not quite what it used to be. Of course, that's been going on for thousands of years. But Keith has built a team, and some of these young people, some of the wisdom and the work ethic that they bring to the table, and not only the wisdom and the work ethic, but they have mastered what their job is. Yeah. And what's so nice about that is I have not experienced people who have been part of such a well-oiled machine doing their jobs very well. It just frees me up from a lot of the tasks that I would have to ordinarily do.
I was going to ask you about that, because I could only imagine whenever you're dealing with, any day-to-day of any business or career you have, there's always a few hurdles and holdups. But when you transition into a place where it's, a well-oiled machine, people are really sticking to their roles, do you almost pick your head up and go, what the hell's happened today? You're waiting, you know what I'm saying?
So it reminds me way back, I'm going back many years, when the St. Louis Rams were a thing. Yeah. And Kurt Warner came onto the picture because the starting quarterback was injured, and we had a left tackle named Orlando Pace. And Orlando Pace protected Kurt Warner's blind side. And Kurt Warner's first year, they won the Super Bowl. And I think that's an example of just understanding that your teammates have you covered.
Yeah.
And that's the most exciting part about all of this, is that Keith has built a really well-oiled machine, and I think everybody's got each other's back here. And so if somebody makes a mistake, we call it out, but not in a way that's degrading. We call it out like, okay, we've got to make sure this doesn't happen again, because this is going to get in the way of the successes if it happens again. So that part has been very, very clear to me, that Keith has built a really good team around him. The part I didn't expect is there's no drama. Whenever you have a group of people working together, there tends to be a little bit of drama here and there. I have not picked up any of that. These folks are as devoted to the client and to the mission, I think, that Keith and I are. And so that's been a surprise, really, really pleasant surprise for me. So it's a great place to work.
Fantastic.
So, I will tell you, if somebody asked me the number one reason why there is no drama is one of the things that surprised Dan was when we get about once a week or so, we sit down, the group does upstairs, the PI upstairs, and we go through the cases that have been referred to us, and we decide which ones we want to call and which ones we want to just pass on. Now, I promise you, in every single law firm there is out there, that conversation is two partners talking about it, yeah. Or maybe a partner and a senior associate or something, or maybe just the partner. In our firm, I said, hey, somebody go get Dan. Dan comes in the room. The entire upstairs is in my office.
I don't have a place to sit.
There's actually, yeah, we had to bring chairs in. There's actually a photo on the interwebs that shows a bunch of people in my office. That's every single person, down to the newest person, and the case is discussed among everyone. And everyone gets to say, what they think. Ultimately, Dan might say, I think we should take that case, and I might think, no, or I might think, yeah, and he might say, no, and we'll talk about it. But we talk about it as a group. And the reason that you don't see drama is every single person there, their voice does actually matter. So they feel included, they feel a part of it. There's no fighting for position. And because Dan was saying we're a well-oiled machine and everybody has a job, nobody's stepping on anyone else's toes. Yeah, it's not territorial. It's just we all understand this is an assembly line. Yeah, it starts with Tony and Kamel to then it goes to Beth or to Erica or to Taryn or whomever, and then it's up to me and Andrew and Dan. And it's a nice machine. It's like an assembly line. And that means also the other reason Dan was brought in is not only do we want the cases to be more certain in the probability of winning, but we want them to move faster. Yeah. Because in the end, one of the biggest complaints is people say this just takes so long. Yeah, well, we're popular. We got a lot of cases. I need to bring in the right people to help expedite these cases, and that's part of the reason.
Fantastic. Yeah. Going forward, what is the kind of best takeaway for the audience if they just tuned in now for the last couple of minutes or trying to figure it out? What's the best kind of call to action or best message for the public about the new partnership here at Keith Shorts and Associates?
Well, I'll give the first part of this and let Dan finish it. Is this, it's just been I told you this a long time ago in one of our conversations, very curated, very well thought out growth. Yeah. We add people who end up staying. And occasionally we will tell people you don't really fit us, and we'll hope for the best and they're on their way. But every single person who's joined us and has stayed hasn't just stayed because it's a job, but they stay because they're devoted to this. It's become really, really kind of a machine of common effort, common belief, common thinking. The other day it was a Saturday, and we had this volunteer thing where you climbed a big building at the Arch, and 7 of us showed up for that. Nobody was told to do it. They just did. And then we all went to an Easter thing. So that's what I see. I see it's a curated growth of really, really good people with the same mission. And Dan can finish what he's seeing.
Well, I think one of the greatest assets is the mentality that everybody has. It's not about us, it's about the client, and it's about getting the client results that we can get. And along the way, you can't help but get to know the client, get to like the client, and embrace everything that the client needs and wants. And I got to tell you, I think the greatest satisfaction in this business is after all the hard work that we do and all the hard work that the clients put in to help their case move along is to deliver a check. Yeah. There's no greater satisfaction than to deliver a check to somebody that's either been exploited, wronged, lied to, or something, and it's turned their life upside down, and you can hand them a check that kind of helps them get their life in order. There's no greater satisfaction than doing that.
And we could remember this, that check doesn't represent just money. Yeah. The only justice we're allowed to give anyone The only remedy the law lets you have is a check. It's an amount, and that's it. So it's not that we're just handing you money. We're saying you were right, they were wrong. We're going to help you get your life back together. This is the method to do that. And I've said this a million times. When you had a situation a few months ago, it was a wonderful thing that I got to help you with.
Thank you very much.
Yeah, but the thing is this, don't you know right now, based upon the relationship we developed, if it was Saturday afternoon at 4 o'clock and something bad happened, I could call Keith.
Yep.
Keith would answer, and I could trust him. He'll guide me to the right person.
100%.
Right, and that's what we want to give people. Dan wants to do exactly the same thing. We had a case that at his old firm that wanted to come with us. I frankly wanted the client to come with us. He's the kind of guy who does the right thing all the time. He's like, I made a promise to my old firm. This is not what I'm going to do. I'd love to represent that person. He will always do the right thing. But the thing is this. Any client of Dan's knows that guy reached out to Dan on a Saturday afternoon. That's why I brought that up. I remember seeing the email, and Dan responded on a Saturday, like at 5 o'clock in the afternoon.
Yeah.
Because, when people come to us, they're at one of the scariest moments of their lives. And the one thing I'd say is, we will take care of you. And the big part of the reason I needed him with me is because he's going to help me achieve that mission.
This is fantastic. I love the dynamic here too, and really, it's just going to be great when it comes to seeing how your guys' partnership really just succeeds. And I think that's all it's going to do, guys. Seriously,
I hope so.
I can't wait to have you back on the show again soon to talk about more of the success and all the fun that you guys are working on in through the court system.
Absolutely.
Oh yeah. Yeah, there's a lot of neat stuff to talk about. There's been some incredible verdicts recently.
What about this $400 million?
$241 million. And actually, Dan and I know those guys who won that case. Wow. We actually talked to them about it about 2 days ago. 3 days ago, we talked to them about it. We called them up, and they're big, the biggest firm in Chicago. And I said, Dan, I'm going to call him, leave a message. 10 minutes later, they called back. The guy who won the money, because I know his brother and I know him now, and he spent 40 minutes with us talking about that case. We should probably bank that for the next time.
That sounds good. I like that. Let's bank it for next time and talk about it. But Dan, welcome, to the firm, and Keith, great move on this, and just best of luck with all the success here.
Okay, thank you.
We'll take a quick break for top of the hour news here, rolling into the 10. You stay there, and I'll be here. RiverBender.com and Roku TV.